Welcome to Coming Out of the Spiritual Closet with your host, me, Brittany Whittig. Join me every week to explore and demystify the world of modern spirituality. This week, I have a very special episode for you. I am interviewing Leanne Rose, a multidimensional manifestation mentor and source channel. Now, the reason this episode is so special is because about a year ago, I put it out into the universe that I wanted to interview a transchanneler on coming out of the spiritual closet, because transchanneling has been one of the major gateways to my spiritual knowledge, my spiritual path. It's been a huge influence on me. And so I really wanted to bring a transchanneler onto the podcast, but I wanted it to be the person that was meant to be on. And I remember several months ago, I heard Leanne channeling the Multidimensional collective that she channels called the Galayla Collective. And as soon as I heard her start channeling, I got full body goosebumps. I was overwhelmed by emotion. Both of those are signs that I'm hearing something true and something that's meant for me. And I knew that she was the person that I wanted to invite onto my podcast. And wow, this episode is so magical. First, Leanne shares about how she got into transchanneling, how she came out of the spiritual closet. And then I have a conversation with the Galayla Collective. And the transmission that came through here was so powerful. I was actually having tears coming to my eyes as I was listening to the Galayla Collective speak. There is a massive energetic transmission here. There's plenty of conscious learning to be had as well. So without further ado, find yourself a comfortable spot to sit and get ready, because this episode is going to blow you away. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining me this week. I am so excited to have Leanne here. Leanne, thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, love. I'm super, super excited to be here.
Yes, me too. I'm so happy you're here. So I think we'll just start. If you could just introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Leanne. I like to call myself a creation consciousness mentor. And what that basically means is that I help you to really access your power as the creator of your reality. And we help you to really put that to use in a really practical 3D way, whilst also being incredibly magical and incredibly powerful. So I am also a transchannel, which means I am able to receive, interpret, and translate source frequency instantaneously. And you are going to get to witness that today. So do you need me to explain a little bit more about what that is for your audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to say for everyone listening that I have been keeping an ear and an eye out for someone to come on this podcast and transchannel for at least a year now. This is something that I knew I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to have someone on that was a transchannel. And when I heard Leanne channel for the first time, I just got like full body goosebumps, which is one of my signs that what I'm hearing is true. It's real. And I knew I wanted to invite her on. And so I'm just thrilled to have you here and thrilled to have you doing this. And yes, absolutely. If you could maybe just explain how you got into this, because it's pretty unique.
It is. And a little bit wackadoodle as well, to be fair. So love the full body chills as well, by the way. That's a beautiful confirmation, isn't it, that we are finding that thing that we've been calling in.
Yes.
So many people might be familiar with transchanneling from your Abraham Hicks. I suppose that's the kind of first exposure to channeling I ever had. Really. But before that point, I didn't really know what channeling was. But I was obsessed with spirituality. I was obsessed with finding my spiritual purpose, finding my soul purpose, why am I here? All of that juicy goodness. And one day, what happened when I was meditating was that my eyes flew open of their own accord, just randomly. And I had this strange sensation of feeling as if my own consciousness had kind of retreated to the back of my head, and that there was something else looking out of my eyes. So at this point, I was like, okay, there is another energy in my body. So that's kind of what I first felt transchanneling really was. I become a conduit for energy. Another energy enters my system and begins speaking, and kind of communicating through me. At first, it wasn't full on chatting. It was just, I would just feel the presence. But as time has kind of gone on, they then introduced themselves as the Galayla Collective. So that's what they have named themselves now. And they first introduced themselves as an interdimensional collective consciousness that was here to help the assistance of humanity. But as time has gone on, even further still, and I've really, 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 gotten used to this gift and gotten used to really managing these energies and being able to move through them. What I now understand this to be is pure source energy, something that every single one of us is connected to, and we are all in communication with. It just so happens that I have tapped into the ability to be able to clearly identify this frequency within my system and translate it in a way that people can understand and actually can then receive energetic activations and things from as well. So you can think of it more as a transmission rather than it just being a communication with an entity. Like, it's much more frequency based, it's much more energetic in nature, and it is actually something that we can all tap into. There is a reason why I was kind of predisposed to it. I have a bit of a juicy story if you'd like to hear it.
Oh, I would love to hear it. Please share. Yes.
So when I was a small child, I was actually around, I'm not sure whether I was 3 or 6 months old, but I actually drowned in the bath. And I was actually clinically dead for a little while.
What?
Yes. So long story short, my mum wasn't a very well woman. She'd left me unattended, and I'd had an epileptic seizure,
drowned,
gone under the water, and had to be brought back to life.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty mental.
Wow.
What I was shown, so I've always kind of known about this when I was young, and I kind of knew it was quite special, but I didn't really know why until my transchanneling ability really came online, and I was able to directly communicate with these frequencies. And they showed me that actually what had happened was, because I was obviously, when we cross over to the set, when we, leave our bodies, but I was still kind of semi-tethered to mine, I was completely exposed to the highest frequencies source, completely immersed in it. And then when I was brought back into my body at such a young age, I brought that energetic imprint back with me. And so my growing brain then formed around this experience. And so I actually engage with energy in a different way to most people, because I was exposed to such high frequencies at such a young age, which then meant that I embody the connection to source much more easily than your average person because of this kind of exposure at such a young age, which meant that transchanneling was something that came actually quite naturally. It wasn't something that I really had to try to do. It just kind of switched online when I was kind of ready for it, if you like.
Wow. So I just got goosebumps while you were talking. This is so before I get on an interview, I always channel some questions to ask the person I'm interviewing. And it's so funny because one of the questions that came through for you was ask about death. And I thought to myself, like,
Wow.
I have it written there. And I was like, yeah, we'll see about that. I don't know. As you're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's why that question is answered.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a juicy co-creative magical piece that is. I love that. It's amazing.
I love it. Yeah, so cool. So that's an incredible story. And so when did your channeling come back online? Because I know what's so interesting about Leanne as a trans channel
is that her background is not what you maybe would imagine for someone who does this. So can you take us through how, like, where you came from and how you got into the channeling as a grown-up?
Of course, yeah. So I am actually a very grounded person.
Yeah, totally.
Given what I do. So the reason for that is, I had quite a rough upbringing. I mean, many of us did. Exposure to contrast at a young age means that we go looking for these answers much, much sooner. And so I had quite a difficult upbringing that kind of pushed me into wanting to step into helping people at the next level. So I actually went and trained as a mental health nurse. And like I say, my mum actually had schizophrenia. And so that was what pushed me into really wanting to help people at that level. And so yeah, I'm a psychiatric nurse. I trained as an interpersonal therapist. It just didn't feel like quite enough. I wasn't helping people at the soul level, even though, of course, I was doing lots of these evidence-based practices that were kind of working, but there was these missing pieces that, I was deep into my own spiritual journey at this point of like really wanting to heal my own heart of, childhood trauma and all that kind of stuff. And I was seeing these gorgeous souls that we're utilizing these evidence-based practices, but I'm not speaking to your soul. I'm not speaking to your soul purpose. And I can see that that's what you need. That's what you're after. And so I trained as a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher. That still didn't quite feel like enough. And then it was I was actually given the boot up the bottom that I was needing. To go and start my own spiritual business when the whole vaccine mandates and all that stuff kind of came out, and I was threatened to kind of lose my job and all of that kind of stuff. And it really was that was when I really began to kind of practice the mentality of, I mean, if anybody listens to this who's already in my world knows my mantra is life is happening for me, not to me. So I always coin things of, there is a reason this is happening. If there's extreme contrast, it's because I'm being redirected to something. And so I started my own business. At that point, I had kind of brought my channeling abilities online. I'd had the experience when I was meditating, but still really didn't trust it. So there's so many of us that are dabbling with channeling, but we're like, there's a huge element of us. I mean, we are literally, it's built into us to not trust that element. Yeah. That believes that we are completely connected. So it was this very kind of dualistic element of being a very evidence-based practitioner, very rooted in logic and science, but also seeing that there was holes with this logic and science that didn't really, we talk about speaking to emotion, but we don't speak to the soul. Right. And so there was this, how do I blend this? How do I blend it? So I started my own business. And this is something that I kind of feel like people need to hear, is that I jumped before the net appeared. Like, and we hear this all the time, don't we? So I jumped knowing that, I could potentially be without a job. I didn't know what I was going to do for my spiritual business, although I was trained in kind of Reiki and yoga. I didn't really know what it was going to look like. And it wasn't until I just fully went all in. I invested in a business coach because I know that I am not a businesswoman. I need skills in that area. I'm a soul-led woman.
Yes. Yeah.
Which means, the masculine pieces, they do not come all that naturally to me. So then, yeah, that was when they showed up in a really big way. It was like, oh, okay, you finally committed to your soul purpose. All right, then we're going to show you the rest of the way. Yes. The rest is history, basically. The work that I'm doing now, I had no idea when I started my business this would be something that I would be doing. It's the steps have unfolded every single time I've trusted myself to step in.
Oh, I love that. That is fabulous. I actually that will feel familiar for my listeners because I talk a lot about taking the leap on this podcast. So that's very good fit.
I mean, it's such a huge piece of the puzzle, isn't it? Because most of us are waiting. We're waiting for some, assurance before we move, but we kind of got it a little bit backwards. We kind of need to have that self-assurance move, and then, the magic shows up. We are always supported.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'm saying everything is always working out. Everything will work out. That's kind of always saying that to myself. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. So that is fascinating. Your entire story is so interesting. yeah, I love how you went from like psychiatric nursing into the spiritual. I think if you would be open to doing some channeling, that would be amazing. And we could talk to the Galayla Collective, and listeners can get a feel for what this trans channeling is like.
Of course. I'm so excited to do this. So
Me
I'm
too. I'm so happy you're here.
So I like to give people a spiel if they've not experienced trans channeling before, just so you can prepare your energy, because it is an energetic transmission. So it's important to kind of prepare your system. So the general rule of thumb that they give me is that what you are hearing is only around 20% of what you are actually receiving from them. So they are raw source frequency. So they are going to be activating all kinds of different energetic frequencies within you, which means cleansing, it means activating, clearing, shifting, transmuting, doing all kinds of magic in your system. So those of you that are particularly clairsentient, you will probably feel them in your system. So don't be surprised if you feel a bit woozy or anything like that. It's probably just the energies moving through you. So they also do this thing called an energetic handshake. So what that basically means is they make a bizarre noise on the way through. So for those of you listening who are not expecting that, just warning you, it is bizarre. And funny story, actually, when they first came through, I realized that they'd been trying to make contact, like direct contact, for months and months and months. But because I didn't have the courage to actively do this random noise, even in my own company, I wasn't allowing it to come through. So which is actually quite funny, really, when you think about it.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So those of you that have been experimenting with channeling and there have been impulses to make noises and you're not letting them through, you might be sabotaging yourself. So
that's a good tip.
Fabulous. So is there anything else that you think your lovely souls need to know before we dive in?
No, I think that gets everyone ready.
Cool. I will see you on the other side.
Wonderful.
Hello, dear souls. It is such a joy to be here with you, dear one. Thank you for giving us a chance to share our message to wonderful souls in your world.
Thank you very much for being here. Well, I'm so happy that you are here. And I have a few questions. I wanted to ask about the rising of the divine feminine that seems to be happening. That seems to be a shift that's happening in our world right now.
Indeed, there is, dear one. And there has been a much emphasis on a divine feminine element. The reason for this? Because the height of feminine frequency, and we are talking about feminine energy, not female. Very important distinction. Height of feminine energy itself, the feminine energy of the cosmos, creatrix energy, is connection to source. It is truth, core truth of the essence of all that you really are, dear souls. It is the truth that you are source energy in human form. This is the height of feminine essence. Oneness, divinity. All is one, all is source. This is the height of feminine energy, which is why there has been an emphasis on the rise of the divine feminine. There is also the rebalancing, because there has been a great deal of toxic masculine, unbalanced masculine in the field. But very important for souls to recognize that there cannot be a rise of balanced feminine energy without the rise of balanced masculine to complement it. And so, what many souls listening here are really re-embracing, as they are collectively embracing the rise of the divine feminine, is actually embracing their own divine masculine energy. There are many souls here listening that are craving their divine masculine counterparts, that are looking outside of themselves. But dear souls, what you are actually looking for is your own connection to your own divine masculine energy. So, we know that you asked about divine feminine, dear one. But as you know, co-creative, these beautiful chats always are. And so, a beautiful meaning that really greatest good is wanting to harness is really the divine balance of masculine and feminine energies. What many are stepping into is learning to trust the connection to source. This is the height of feminine energy. Learning to trust in oneness, the truth, the embodied truth, that all is one, that all is love at its core. And so many are stepping in to this awareness. But what happens when our souls are stepping into this level of awareness, but are not balancing this with masculine energy, with healthy, balanced, divine masculine energy? There becomes an over-reliance on assisting others without actually reclaiming the divinity of the self. This is what comes with divine masculine energy. And so, what many of your listeners are really opening up their hearts to connecting to source. But this is part of new paradigm also of step from 5D to 6D that some listeners may be aware of. Not to worry if you do not understand this terminology. What you can understand this as is old paradigm, new paradigm. Old paradigm, very much about giving power away to the universe. New paradigm, remembering that you are the universe, dear ones. And so divine feminine energy, very much about reclaiming the divinity of all. And divine masculine energy, remembering that you came here to be an individual whilst you connect to the entirety of all that is. Feeling into your heart space, dear one, to gain clarity around what you feel your listeners really need to hear from us on this topic.
Interesting. Thank you. So I love that, because I was actually going to ask you about the divine masculine. You said something that was really interesting to me. You said that some of my listeners are craving divine partnership, and that they're looking outside of themselves, but that actually, so is it that first they will balance with that divine masculine within themselves?
Indeed, dear one. Internal reality creates external world. If your external world is showing you a lack of connection, of heartfelt connection, it is simply trying to draw your attention and awareness to where you are lacking that heartfelt connection within. It is vital that souls begin to recognize the importance of frequency first, dear ones. When you learn to trust yourself as source, you learn to recognize that requesting things from out there comes from a place of scarcity, of lack, of fear. It is based in the illusion of separation from source. It is based in the illusion that you need something outside of you to complete you. But dear ones, you are already complete. You have just forgotten this sacred truth. And what being human is really all about, dear ones. It is not really about the struggle. It is actually about the dance of creation itself. You are already complete. The reason that you come here, pretending that you are separate from source, is to journey back to the truth that you are source, to rekindle this reunion. I think of it this way. When you first lost a loved one, it taught you the sacredness of love itself. It taught you how sacred and special being in union with somebody that you love actually is. The only way you were truly able to feel the full gratitude for what you had was experiencing the loss of it. This is what being human is about, dear ones. You are already source energy. You are already complete. You already are love itself. You are already powerful, incredibly beyond worthy, dear ones, beyond provided for. You are all that there possibly could be. But you come here to forget this sacred truth in order to slowly journey back to this wondrous truth so that you can feel the joy of it in the reunion. This is what you are actually craving, dear ones. This, the external element that you crave, the physicality of a person in your life to share this love with. This is not the full entirety of what you are craving. The full entirety of what you are craving is to know the purest love frequency, the purest connection, the deepest sense of belonging, the deepest sense of unconditional love. This can only come from within. And when you reach it within, dear ones, the external world will begin to reflect this back to you. Now, where many of you have been getting a little off track because you are beginning to awaken to the core truth of all that you are. You are beginning to delve deeper into the core essence of your spiritual self, of your heart, of your soul. And you may have very 3D partners, may beginning to see where there is difference growing between you. Maybe fears moving through you that say, maybe this relationship cannot last because I am changing and he will not understand me. But dear one, what you are actually anchoring into here is your fear and your disbelief in your ability to positively change your reality. If you can find your soul, if you can find your source frequency, if you can find your magic, then what makes you believe that your partner cannot do this? What makes you believe that it has to come in the way that you think it will come? There are many, many ways that when we anchor into these frequencies, we begin to push expansion away. It is natural. It is built in to the evolution of the system itself. We could not continue to experience the illusion of separation from source if there was not an element of our own internal frequency that advocated for the illusion of separation from source. This is the part of you that sabotages your expansion. It is necessary to playing the game of being human, to playing the game of life. But this part of you that wants to run from a relationship that already holds and cultivates deep love frequencies simply because it does not look the way you think a spiritual relationship should look, is the part of you that is not trusting in your ability to beautifully craft your reality and to positively impact your partner, to assist them to raise their vibration without even needing to read the same books that you are reading, to meditate in the same way that you meditate, but simply allowing your energy, your frequency to positively impact their beingness in the same way that you are believing their negative energy is impacting your beingness. Turn it on its head, dear ones. Sacred partnership comes from a deep connection to the self. When you are so sure in your own conviction that your external reality simply inspires the best within you, no matter what it looks like. When you only allow yourself to step into the full truth of all that you are, rather than allowing yourself to believe that you are powerless in response to your external reality. This is when you access the power to consciously craft the reality you are experiencing, which includes creating deeper levels of connection in the relationships that you currently hold. There is a reason that these souls are in your life, dear ones.
Thank you. That's really fascinating. As you spoke about that, something that came up for me was my experience when I was diagnosed with cancer. I now no longer have cancer. I'm healthy. But I think you're putting into words so much more beautifully than I ever have. This idea that even the most difficult, heart-wrenching experiences actually can move us farther into expansion. And with this diagnosis, I thought right off the bat, I know that this is going to expand my reality massively. And it did. And so it's so interesting that challenging experiences, contrast, I think is the word you were using.
Indeed.
That contrast can actually lead us into a bigger, brighter reality. And you said something about the dance of humanity, that's some of what we're here for, maybe all of what we're here for.
Indeed, dear soul, all of what you are here for. And thank you for sharing such vulnerable story, dear one. A powerful, powerful tool for humans to actually see this tangibly in practice. That contrast is Source's way of serving itself at the highest level. When you experience adversity, you are being placed under pressure to forge your inner diamond. You are being shown how powerful and resilient you can be. Contrast is always a gateway to expansion, dear souls, always. In being able to see this clearly, what you actually gain is being able to consciously build momentum day after day after day after day to always craft the reality that you are desiring moment to moment. Because contrast is a valuable piece of information from yourself as source that shows you where you are internally out of alignment with what it is that you are wanting to experience. Very important that souls do not interpret this as I created this thing, it is my fault. No. Dear ones, the natural side effect of creating a desire within you is contrast. Let us put it this way. The core reason for you being here is to experience the joy of creation itself. How is creation brought into being? Through a desire. And how is a desire brought into being? Through feeling something that you do not want or like. In order for you to actually be able to identify a desire, you first have to experience something that you do not desire. This is how the creation process itself is maintained. It is actually how you continue to create yourself as source in any given moment. Contrast is actually deeply sacred and deeply of service. This is the core message that we are coming here to remind ourselves as source about. Because this is the core piece that will take you from a life of struggle to a life of joy, because you see the purpose in everything that comes into your life. You see the sacred beingness of all truths around you. You see that you are never a victim. You may feel it, and it is important that you feel it, because it is simply that unbalanced feminine element of you that is coming up to be transmuted so that you can reclaim your inner power, reclaim your inner self-love, reclaim your ability to assert what your individual piece of source looks like. What is your truth? What are you bringing to the whole? What is your piece of the puzzle? What is true for you? Contrast always births your inner diamond. And this is a beautiful, beautiful example, dear one.
Oh, wow. There's so much energy coming through as you speak. I love it. I just wanted to share real quick. If you're listening right now and you're feeling tingles or electricity or goosebumps, I'm feeling it too. It's amazing. And so if someone is listening right now and they would like to start really embracing contrast in what would be a good starting point for people?
Yeah. A beautiful question, dear one. What co-creative magic this conversation is. So, our first place to start, dear ones, those of you listening have brave, wonderful hearts. You are here because you want to better yourself. You want to better your planet. There is a reason that you have this drive within you. It was probably created within you because of the trauma you have experienced. Think back, dear souls, to all of the negative, uncomfortable, traumatizing things that have happened in your life that have shaped the glorious being that you are today, the caring, loving soul that you are. Maybe it has even helped you to become more loving towards yourself. Maybe experiences that you have gone through have helped you come out a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more put together than what you were before you experienced these contrast pieces. Where have some of the difficult moments in your life shaped you into a stronger, more loving, more whole human being? Go looking for where contrast has served you. Go looking for all of the ways in which the difficult times in your life helped you to become proud of who you are today. Go looking for those things in your life right now that are challenging, but you can see that this challenge is shaping you. Like a baby bird, flapping its wings. It may not get very far at first, but it is building the muscles to fly. Where are you building your muscles to fly, dear souls? Where are you repeatedly experiencing contrast? Having to fall down and get yourself back up, like when you were learning to walk as a baby. I fall back down, I get back up. I fall back down, I get back up. And every time I get back up, I learn a little more. I get a little stronger. I am able to walk a little further. Look at these elements in your life right now, dear souls. And instead of focusing on short term, expand your horizon. Look to the long term. What am I building? What am I preparing myself for? I know I am here for a higher purpose. I know everything happens for a reason. Am I living this truth? Am I practicing it every day? Or am I telling myself that I am powerless and that nothing I am doing is working? Am I truly trusting in the fact that I am source, that I am shaping my reality, that I am utilizing every single experience to my advantage to grow and expand and to step in to the next level version of myself every single day, always building momentum towards the life that I am desiring to create for myself? Am I anchored in what I am creating, or am I sitting in lack? This is a beautiful way to begin to alchemize what we call your fear frequency, your powerlessness frequency, the illusion of separation from source. This is how you can begin to utilize contrast to your advantage, to use it as a springboard to inspire the next level version of you, rather than something that suffocates you and brings you down. And it is a choice, moment to moment, dear souls. If in this moment you are feeling a victim to what is happening, ask yourself, why might this be happening for me? What could this possibly be showing me? What could this possibly be assisting me to grow within myself, to connect to within myself? How is this shaping me to be a better, more loving, more powerful version of myself that loves myself just as much as I love the whole? Where is this experience allowing me to see more of my own divinity, to stop relying upon external validation all the time, and to begin to anchor into my own truth in this moment? Where am I not trusting myself? And where are these contrast pieces trying to show me that? This is a beautiful place to start, dear ones.
Wow, thank you very much. That was amazing and inspiring. And something that came up as you were speaking that I just think is so interesting is what you were saying about contrast actually being the way that a desire starts to form. Like if you have a desire, you're going to experience contrast. I was thinking about the world right now and what's happening in the world. And it's so challenging for people because we are living in really challenging times with a lot of contrast, right? But that's such an inspiring, positive message, because I made the connection as you were speaking. Well, all of this contrast in the world must be humanity collectively desiring something new.
Bingo, dear one. This is a beautiful period of transmutation, of transformation, age of Aquarius.
Yes.
New earth. This is what collectively humanity has been reaching for, and it is in the process of rebirth. What many people need to understand is that the evolution of source frequency, receiving more love, receiving more power, receiving more magic in your present moment reality means greeting your fear frequency. It means the escalation of contrast, because contrast is the gateway to source frequency. Contrast is the gateway to your magic, dear souls. What we are here to show you is that it is not to be feared. It is to be alchemized. You are alchemists, dear ones. You do this within your everyday without even realizing it. But this is coming at a whole new level now as we step into new paradigm. I know that your systems are placing you under pressure to redirect you within. The extreme pressure that you are seeing at collective level is because of this up level, of this wondrous new way of life that humanity is stepping into. And it starts with every individual coming into this level of awareness within for themselves, first and foremost.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, I guess we're getting close to our time. I would just love to give you the opportunity if there's anything else that you would like to say or share with the listeners before we close up.
So, final message that feels particularly important to express here, dear ones, is that of self-love as self-actualization. Dear ones, the core frequency, the core essence of all that you are as source, as the universe, as God frequency, whatever you would like to call it, the core of all that you are is the purest love you could ever possibly imagine. Many of you listening are very, very good at being able to anchor into this for other people. But you are lacking in truly embodying divine love for the self. This is your gateway to transformation, dear souls. Being able to reclaim your own divinity, assigning boundaries in order to love people better, in order for them to love you better. This is vital for many of you at this time. I know that right now, this collective shift, it is phase 2 of manifestation process. Source frequency showing us where we are out of alignment with the highest core of all that we are. And so many of you are going to be experiencing feeling lonely, feeling isolated, feeling disconnected. And whilst, of course, it is important to reconnect with people in your 3D world, know that what you are actually being directed towards, dear one, is connection with the self as source, but with your individuality, your core heart. When was the last time, dear one, that you gave yourself a full hour to simply sit in your own presence? Not doing, not listening to anything, not acting in a certain way, but simply being in your own presence, being with your own company, allowing yourself to express love for your body, to express love for your own divinity, to be fully in your own company and to enjoy it, for it to be enough, for you to know that in that moment you are complete. This would be a beautiful homework piece for many of you, dear ones. A doorway to self-love, always in present moment. It is not just a beingness, it is an action, dear ones. If you are not treating yourself as the divine being that you are, you cannot possibly experience this in external world, because internal reality creates external world. If you are feeling that life is not enough right now, it is because you are not seeing the full essence of all that you are, because you do not feel as if you are enough. And so go looking for your enoughness, dear ones. Find it, expand upon it, revel in it. This is the core tool of transformation that will completely change your life. And with this being said, we are content, dear one. Thank you so much for allowing us to spread the love and share our message to the wonderful souls listening today.
Thank you so very much for being here.
We will call girl back. Sending you all oodles and oodles of love, dear one. Goodbye for now.
Amazing.
Great questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, just so much. There was so much packed into that. I can't wait to re-listen. I'm sure this will be one that people listen to more than once, because that was a dense message. There were layers and layers to it, really.
Yes, this is the one thing that I definitely recommend is listening again, because every single time that I transchannel, the layers upon layers upon layers that they give every single time, you find that people will listen 3, 4, 5 times and be getting something new every time. So yeah, for sure. If things don't land the first time, you will probably get different pieces if you listen again.
Yeah, absolutely. And the homework was great. Sit with myself for an hour doing nothing. I love that. I'm going to do that. That's brilliant, actionable thing that all of us can try.
Yes, absolutely. We're all about those practical tips, not just the woo-woo.
Yep. I love it. That was just amazing. Thank you so much. And Leanne, if people want to work with you, how do they do that?
Amazing. So you can find me over on Instagram. That tends to be where I live. So my handle for Instagram is @IamLeanne Rose. But I've also got lots of free stuff on YouTube under the same handle.
Okay.
I can give you a thing. So I've got a freebie that I give to people to access the core principles of the new paradigm of manifestation. So I can definitely give you that to pop in the show notes as well.
Okay.
And you can also find out how to work with me on my website, which is www.thegalaylacollective.com. There's loads of different ways that you can work with us. There's one-to-one with me in the GC. There's one-to-one with just me. And we've got group courses that we do that help you really master manifestation, as well as like really intense one-to-one 5-month soul journeys that are really like coming home to yourself, a source, like whole next level magic.
Ooh, okay, awesome. And all of that is going to be in the show notes for everyone listening. So if you just heard any of that appeals to you, just scroll down. It's in the show notes. Wonderful. Leanne, thank you so much for being here. This has been seriously magical.
Thanks so much for having us. Love it. It's been real good fun.
Yes, wonderful. So thank you, everyone. And I will catch you next week.